This is a brief history of Reigate Fort. In the late 19th century, worry over Britain's defence grew, especially fears that the Navy might not be sufficient to stop a potential invasion of the home islands. As a result, the government developed what became known as the London Defence Positions. This plan envisaged a 72-mile line of defences running from the North Downs across to Essex, to guard the approaches to London. As part of this scheme, 13 mobilisation centres, often loosely referred to as forts, were constructed between 1889 and 1903. Among them was Reigate Fort, built atop Reigate Hill in 1898. The hill location of Reigate Fort afforded commanding views over the Weald and toward the South Downs, a strategically valuable vantage in case of a French or foreign advance. But Reigate Fort was never intended as a traditional permanent fortress. Rather, its role was to serve as a mobilisation and supply depot, a storehouse for weapons, ammunition, and vital entrenching and clearing tools. In the event of invasion, infantry and artillery units would assemble here, draw equipment, and then dig defensive trenches along the stop line to slow or repel an enemy advance toward London. Thus, Reigate Fort was part of an expansive preventive defensive infrastructure, a contingency plan rather than a standing garrison poised for immediate battle. Two sets of gates protect the entrance to the fort. The first are spiked and made of steel, the second are heavier and bulletproof. They open to a width of 10 feet, enough to let a horse-drawn wagon through. The tool store held the equipment required for trench warfare: spades and pickaxes for digging the trenches, saws and axes for clearing trees from the firing lines, and spiked coils of barbed wire to slow an advancing army. Tents for the soldiers to sleep in may also have been stored here. The two arched chambers of the magazine building were where munitions were stored. There was ammunition for muzzle loading and breech loading rifles, and fuses and shells for the heavy artillery guns located at nearby Reigate Hill. Given all the explosives stored there, the magazine was covered with earth to prevent damage from enemy shelling. Like the tool store, the underground casemates held entrenching tools. But if an invasion had happened, they would also have provided protection from enemy bombardment, and may even have been used as war rooms to coordinate military tactics. By 1906, the British Admiralty was confident that its naval forces could safeguard against an invasion, particularly following the launch of the revolutionary battleship HMS Dreadnought. The mobilisation centres were no longer needed. Reigate Fort was decommissioned in 1906 and sold off the following year. In 1972, Reigate Fort and the other mobilisation centres were designated Scheduled Ancient Monuments by English Heritage, because they recall a time of significant change in British warfare. Now cared for by the National Trust, the fort has been restored with the help of a number of grants and a dedicated band of volunteers. The grounds of the fort are open to visitors every day.